How's it going, y'all? This is Matt Posa of Matt's Money Mindset. Today's video is going to be all about budgeting. So I know way too many people that go through life without a budget, without tracking their expenses, are living paycheck to paycheck, or get towards the end of the month and have no idea what they spent in the month, but their bank account's getting close to zero. Maybe they, even worse, put it all on credit cards and now are stuck paying the 20, 25, 30% credit card interest rate. That's what we're trying to avoid. Budgeting is the personal finance backbone, the absolute foundation of your financial freedom, your financial security. So in today's video, I'll be walking through my budget template, how I personally do my budget, and then I'll give you step-by-step instructions. Hopefully you can utilize that template and not be stuck in that hole that so many people are. Let's dive into it. So budgeting is the tool that's going to help you figure out exactly where all your money is going. So if you find yourself like that guy on the internet meme spending $3,600 a month on candles but can't figure out how to feed his family, this video is definitely for you. If you want to know exactly how much money is going to rent, how much is going to taxes, how much is going to insurance, I'm going to walk you through my budgeting template and give you step-by-step instructions of how I budget my money, how I track what I'm spending every month, and then how I know exactly what's going to savings, what's going to investment accounts, those sorts of things. So let's jump into it. So before we jump into the budgeting template, I wanted to take a minute and go through a couple of budgeting concepts. So we're going to talk about the budgeting pie and the budgeting pyramid. So shown here is a sample budgeting pie. The basic format that people like to follow is you spend 50% of your money on necessities, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings, retirement, those sorts of things. So here's just a basic example of how it's split out. You want to spend about 25 to 30% on housing, 10 to 20% insurance, 10 to 15% food, and so on. The budgeting pie gives you an example, but you're going to want to tailor this to your specific spending and what your financial goals are. Then moving to the budgeting pyramid, this also gives you an example of how you should be spending your money, what your priorities should be. So you're going to want to prioritize an emergency fund, paying off bad debt, and retirement savings. So an emergency fund, think something like 3 to 6 months of expenses in savings. I like to keep my emergency fund in a Vanguard settlement fund. It'll give you 4 to 5% back on the market, whatever the current rates are. And that'll just be a lot better than sitting in a savings account. Say if your emergency fund was $5,000 or $10,000, 4% over the course of a year on that is going to be something like $200 to $400. So a lot better than getting nothing in a savings account, that's for sure. Then move on up to insurance, paying off good debt. So bad debt versus good debt. Think your credit card payments are bad debt because you're paying 20, 25, 30% interest on those, whereas good debt might be mortgage, car payment, something along those lines. And then moving up the chain even further, saving for other goals, investing, estate planning, and then at the top is going to be your splurges, so your travel, something along those lines. So for the purposes of this exercise, when I'm going through the template, I'm just putting some random numbers in there for the sake of making it an easy example. I'll probably use $60,000 for annual income to make an easy $5,000 a month. And then I can split that out. If you just put $200 or $300 in each category, it'll make it easy to look at, but you're going to want to tailor that to your specific spending and how you like to spend your money every month. All right, so linked in the video below is going to be my budgeting template. So just go ahead and hit that link. I'm going to download it to Excel because I think that that's the easiest to work with. As a financial analyst, I'm in the sheets all day. So, all right, we're going to download it. So once you get that open, the sheet is going to look something like this. So you've got your income up here at the top. I like to just put in a yearly figure as that's the easiest for most people on salary. But if you wanted to turn this into an hourly formula, I'll go back to that as well. But yearly, you'll put your yearly amount here. Let's just, for sake of example, put 60,000, and then it'll automatically split it out into a per pay period basis and a monthly basis. For our $60,000 example, nice clean $5,000. Then down here, I like to do my deductions and contributions for things like taxes, insurance, if you have a 401k through your employer. So let's just say for monthly deductions, let's say we're paying $500 on our taxes per pay period. So I'll turn that into a formula as well. I'll just make it times 26, and then I'll divide it by 12. And then if we want to do monthly contributions, let's just say at 10%, we'll just copy the same formula from up top and put that in. So then we can see at the end of the day, our monthly income, we're going to be left with about $2,800. So we had $1,000 come out for taxes and insurance. We put $1,000 in for our contributions, whether that's 401k, an IRA, a health savings account. So then we'll come down here. We've got our expenses. Our expenses are going to come straight from this side of the template. So all of this is formula driven, and it comes from this receipts tab. So this is where we're going to put all of our expenses. So say we're paying $1,200 a month on rent, $100 a month on insurance, $50 a month on our phone, $100 on utilities, $50 on Wi-Fi. And then how I like to do my gas, I have the template set up so that all of these just pull into one gas line. So I can say I got gas on January 1st, it was $50. I got gas on January 10th, it was another $50, and so on and so forth. And then those are going to pull in directly over here. So I said I had $1,200 on rent. Let's put $1,200 in there. Utilities, I've got $300 in utilities. Let's put $300 there. And let's give ourselves $200 a month on gas. We've spent 100 of those already between January 1st and today, the 16th. But we have $100 left for the month. That's just how much we're anticipating to spend. Maybe we'll have a little bit left over, maybe we won't. Then we've got our other categories, as you saw on this receipts tab. We've got groceries, dining, events, health, and miscellaneous. So just a few quick categories to capture most of your spend. So groceries, let's just say I went to Costco on January 1st and I spent $150. That's supposed to carry me most of the way through the month. Then I won't have to go to the grocery store again until I go back to Costco. Let's say $120, and I spent $100 on that one. Maybe we've got grocery store down here, just as we went and grabbed something, $20. So we go back over to the front here. What if we had budgeted $300 for groceries? We can see we've already spent $270, got $30 left for the month, and so on and so forth. It's going to go just like that all the way down the list. We want to get all of our expenses in. So let's just say restaurant on the first, $50. We'll say that we went to a baseball game, even though I don't know who's playing baseball in January, but let's just say we went to a baseball game and it was $70 there. Say we're paying $40 a month on a gym membership. And then in the miscellaneous section, who doesn't like Netflix? Say $20 a month for Netflix. And then just anything else miscellaneous. If you had a car repair, I would probably throw it in the miscellaneous bucket. If you just went and bought a new backpack, I'd put that here too. So let's say new backpack, $50. So then we're gonna come back over to this first tab. We've got dining. Let's give ourselves $300 for dining. Let's give ourselves $300 for events. I'm going to budget the $40 a month for the gym because that's what our gym membership costs. And then for doctors or other miscellaneous health items, it's definitely going to be dependent on what you want to spend on that. But let's give ourselves $60. Then miscellaneous, we'll throw another $300 in there. So now we've got all of this budgeted. We've got $1,200 for rent, $300 for utilities, $200 for gas, $300 for groceries, $300 for dining, $300 for activities, $100 for health, and $300 for miscellaneous. So all in all, we're budgeting up to $3,000. We can see what we've actually spent. We've got $2,100 spent so far this month. So now we've got a savings. How much money do we have left over? We are budgeting to save $375 every month. Currently, we have $1,275 left to spend. Halfway through the month, that wouldn't be bad. But now I have this extra income column. So let's say that you're someone that can work overtime. Throw some overtime in there. Let's say you made $200 on that overtime. You come back. It'll automatically get thrown in there. and then it will flow its way into the total savings. So we see how much we have left over, $12.75. Extra income, the $200. Total savings at the moment, $14.75 for the month. So we've got all these set up. We can put all of our expenses in here. If we make any extra income, we can put that in there. And then I also just have this little notes column at the bottom. Me personally, I like to put gift cards or just any additional money that I have left over that I might forget about down here. So let's say I have a restaurant gift card. I'll put that it is worth $100. And that just reminds me that it's there. Or over here in our events column, let's say I have a trip coming up. I might put down here, add to February. It's more of an accounting problem if you want your expenses to be in the month that you expense them or in the month that you actually spend the money. For me, if I'm going on a trip in February, even if I spent the money in January, I might want to put the expense in February. So let's just say flight, and then I would probably also just include the details, Delta flight on February 15th, something along those lines, to tell me exactly what that is. And let's say that was $200. So that'll just remind me it's down here in the notes section. When I flip this budget from January to February, I can then just easily come down here, copy it, and drop it in here. So we'll get rid of that. Like I mentioned earlier, I would show you how to convert this over to an hourly template if you are an hourly employee instead of salaried. So pretty easy. What I would do is just take out this yearly column. I would get rid of the pay period, and then you can just go in here when you get your paycheck, type it in, say paycheck 1 is 200 and paycheck 2 is 800. Now you've got 1,000. Say you get paid on a weekly basis, just keep adding them in as they come. Hopefully you would know roughly how much you're going to get paid, but then I would do same sort of thing down here, delete these out. Say on that first paycheck you had $100 in taxes, on the second one you had 200, etc., etc. Just as you go, add it in. If there's contributions, same sort of thing, and then it'll all get flowed down here. Just like we did with the other example, just slightly different. We're just putting it in one paycheck at a time rather than all at once. Then at the end of every month, what I like to do is I like to keep this spreadsheet for every month. I like to have a record of what I was spending in January, February, March, onwards and onwards, so that I can go back in time and figure out where all of my money went. So I would take the first tab, hit the move or copy, create a copy, and move it to the end. And then I'll name this January 2025. And then what I'm going to want to do is copy this and paste as values, because that will remove all of these formulas. So now they're just the values, no more formulas, so it is no longer attached to this receipts tab. And then I'll come over and I'll copy those columns and just throw them right in there. So then you can come back in time whenever you want and see these are your January expenses. And then we can come back in here, say no more overtime. I would probably just leave my fixed expenses how they are, because you know in February you're going to spend the same amount, but then change this February, and we haven't spent any of this yet. We'll delete that out. And then we are updated. So let's say February is going to look about the same. We've got our monthly income up here. We've got our deductions already in here. And then our budget has reset. It'll say that we've already spent $15.60. That's on our fixed expenses, our rent, our utilities, etc. But then everything else is reset. So easy enough. February expenses, we can come in, put them in here, do the exact same thing. Move or copy, move it to the end, create a copy, put it in there for February 2025. Remember to copy, paste as values. Easy enough. Now we've got January and February, and so on and so forth. And you can go back months, years, and see how you want to do that. Now, why I like to have all of that saved is because I like to know how much I'm spending, not only in categories, but also on certain things. So I might go back to January and see, oh, I went to Costco twice. Maybe it's worth upgrading my Costco membership to the executive membership. They give you an extra 2% back on everything. I can then add up all of my expenses across the year at Costco and easily figure out how much I spent there. Or I can go and easily add up all of my dining expenses and see if maybe a card like the American Express Gold that gets you 4x back on dining would be worth it for my spending. So just something like that. I can show you real quick. If I wanted to just get dining expenses, I could go back and make a formula. I want my actual dining spend in January, add my actual dining spend in February, and if I had 12 spreadsheets, I would just do the same thing, January, February, March, and then it'll tell me, so on dining for January and February combined, I spent $50. And I can do that for all of these other categories. It'll tell me exactly how much I spent, exactly where all of my money is going. That way I can know exactly where I'm spending my money. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and are able to get some use out of this budgeting template that I'm sharing with you, some of the budgeting tips that I shared. Just like I said, budgeting is the foundation of your personal finance journey. If you want to build financial freedom, financial security, budgeting is where you need to start. You need to know exactly where all of your dollars are going. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe, give me a like, leave me a comment. Looking forward to interacting with you all, and thanks for watching.